Good afternoon. This is Rav Torah on Parshas Pinchas, and the parsha goes into quite a few things. Just to do a very brief summary, it starts with Hashem rewarding Pinchas for his bravery in killing Zimri and Cosby and stopping the plague, which had killed 24,000 people, because the women of Midian um, seduced the Jewish men into having immoral relationships with them, and as part of that, worshiping idols. Now, not all 24,000 men were killed by that, because a lot were killed because they could have stopped the what was going on and didn't. Now, the parsha from then goes on to discuss the census of the population just before they were going to go into uh, Eretz Israel. There's also a separate census taken in the Levium, and after the census of the Levium is taken, there is the daughters of Salafakad, who his father died in desert, was not part of Korach's crew. Um, Basically, they said they should have a right to an inheritance, which they did. And the laws of inheritance, not only women, but other general laws of inheritance come from this. And the parsha then goes on where Moshe is told that he's going to go up to the mount, the top of the mountain, see Eretz Israel, but not enter it, for reasons I've discussed previously. Moshe then asked for somebody to replace him, because he said Jewish people shouldn't be like sheep without a shepherd. Yeshua was pointed in his place. And then most of the rest of the parsha is dealing with various sacrifices that made korbanot offerings that can be made for each one of the yontifs. And what I'd like to concentrate on is Pinchas. Now, first of all, when Pinchas attacked Zimri and Cosby, he got tremendous opposition from the tribe of Shimon, Shimon, because they treated themselves as protectives of Zimri, who was one of their princes, one of the judges, and um, it was therefore a great challenge for Pinchas. And I'm going to discuss that. The other three topics I'd like to discuss in connection with that is, what was the reward he was given? What is the origin of Yeshua? Pinchas, who did he originate from? And furthermore, um, and it's well known, there's a connection between Pinchas and Eliyahu Hanavi, and I would like to conclude my Devar Torah briefly discussing that. Now, it says in the beginning of Parshas Pinchas, and I'd like to quote it. It says, "V'diber Hashem el Moshe lemor." God spoke to Moses, saying, "Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron Cohen yeshiv es hamso ma'al b'nei Yisrael mekinati betoken lo yichal b'nei Yisrael v'kinat," who said, Pinchas, the son of Eleazar and grandson of Aaron, the Kohen, was one who zealously took up my cause among the Jews and turned my anger away from them, to not destroy them in my demand for exclusive worship. So therefore, it says, And Haisalo, so what were the awards? The King Omen Laten Laten Brit Shalom. It's going to give the Brit of Shalom. And then it says Haisalo Zera Achrav Brit Kahana Le'olam Taket Asher Kinei Lalasav V'Kippah Al Pnei Bnei Yisrael. There shall be a covenant of eternal priesthood to him and his descendants. It's given to him because he gets a covenant of peace there until they give him the covenant peace. And then, this shall imply covenant of eternal priesthood to him and his descendants after him is given to him because he zealously took up Hashem's cause and made atonement for the Israelite and stopped the plague at 24,000 people. Now, if one looks at that pasuk verse carefully, it says, that I shall give him the covenant of peace. Now, the word in Hebrew for priest says brisi shalom. Now, the word shalom here is very interesting. The vav is divided in the word shalom. Now, many explanations, given this one I would like to give, which was given, I heard from my teacher, Rav Uzi Molesky Zipon Sadek Bracha, that if you look at it, if you break up that vav, make a short vav, the top of it, therefore, is a yud. And that gives the word shalim, completeness. Now, what was the completeness? The completeness given here was that he would live forever. In other words, he was complete. What does the completeness mean here? On a spiritual level, the reason everybody eventually has to die, even the most righteous, because we were all injected by this poison of the snake, the Nachash, at the time of the sin of Adam and Chava. And because of that sin of Adam and Chava, because of that sin, only death can remove that poison. Now, and why does it happen? Because the spiritual forces of spiritual earth, air, fire, and water are not in balance. What the Hashem did was he brought them into balance so that Pinchas would not die. Now, the picture is quite complicated. I'm not going to go into in full detail in the Torah. And if there's any interest, I could discuss it in more detail and share ultimately. But what happened here is that Pinchas evolved into Eliyahu, Hanavi, who it says famous, he went up into heaven in a chariot of fire. It also is true that every generation he comes down. He attends every bris, Mela, Jewish boys, and many other things about Eliyahu, but it's connected to our shoe, but it's not the primary point. And I'd like to discuss how did that connection start? And before that, what is Pinchas's origin? Now, and a lot of this is based on Shar Googling, where it says, where did it come from? It says that when Pinchas was born, it writes, Eleazar, the son of Aaron, took a daughter of Potiel for wife when Pinchas was born. Now, what's explained by that is that Potiel, who is Potiel, is Yosef. Now, it doesn't mean a literal daughter. And why? Who controlled his inclination? Yithro, when Pincus is born, he incorporated from the two soul sparks, two sparks of souls. That's where all souls come from. One from the root of the soul of Yosef Tzaddik, resisted temptation with Potiphar's wife, and the second spark from the root of Yisro. Now, these two neshimas level is known as Pinchas. And without going into some of the deeper meanings of that, there was good, deeper reasons why they had to be combined. Now, how does this all tie into the incident of Pinchas? Pinchas, as I said, was terrified, and as is brought down in the Zohar and in Shar Gulim, the Gate of Reincarnation in English. He was terrified by being surrounded by all the tribe of Shimon, and as Neshima was about to leave, he was then given what's called an Ibor, where other souls, can enter into a person for a temporary purpose or a longer-term purpose. It can either be for the souls that they were coming in to help purify them, or it can be to help strengthen the person who they came into. In this case, who did they come into? They came into Nadav and Avihu. Now, Nadav and Avihu were the two sons of Aaron, and they lit a strange fire that Hashem did not want. I went into that in some detail when we were discussing that parsha of Shmini. In any event, you combine with him, help him keep his neshama in his body, and therefore he killed Zimri and Cosby and stopped the plague. Now, what happened? So those neshamas were there with Pinchas, and Eliyahu came into aspects which is beyond the scope of this, but the one that ultimately became Eliyahu Hanavi that's most famous was Eliyahu from the tribe of Benjamin. There was also another Eliyahu, Tishbi, that were combined with Pinchas at the time, that along with Nadav and Avihu, that eventually evolved into Eliyahu, who was the one from the tribe of Benjamin. Not the one from Gilad, from the tribe of Gad. So why did it have to come in? The connectedness and nefesh of Nadav and Avihu with Pinchas himself. And that soul was part of Pinchas from birth. Now, because of that joining, now, one can most have a connection as four neshimas in one body. Nadav and Avihu were considered one neshima, even though they were in two different bodies. And to bring balance of all that, Eliyahu from the tribe of Benjamin, the one we know as Eliyahu Hanavi, became together with him, and that continued onwards. Then what happened is Pinchas in a manifestation of Yiftach, was did battle against Israel's enemies, and he said the first thing that he saw after the battle, he would pledge to Hashem. Fortunately, the first thing he saw was his daughter, and she was not allowed to be married. She was kept. Now, he wouldn't go to Eliyahu to permit to break the vow, and Eliyahu wouldn't come to him. So what happened is the soul, um, the other souls left him, and there was only, in fact, Pinchas. Now, what happened? So not of Navi who left him, um, and that's another meaning of the word shalom cut, not only the one that I mentioned, but there's another one that the Vav shalom was split, and only thing that remained of him was this drop of the neshama root he got from Yosef, because where did Nadav and Avihu go? They went to Shmuel. After Shmuel died, they came back to Pinchas, and at that point, um, he evolved into the combined again with Eliyahu Hanavi, and it's that combined neshama that has gone to heaven. Now, what we see from all this is that there is Hashem's plans, and we say in Shabbat that his plans are deep and his ways are deep on Psalm 92, and we see that Hashem is planning everything. And again, this is something we should keep in mind as we're seeing constantly evolving events for Jews both around the world and in Israel. And we should realize that as complicated and as sometimes as negative as it seems, it's all part of Hashem's plan and will ultimately work out for the best. And I would like to wish everybody a good Shabbos and Shabbat Shalom during these 3 weeks, and that we should all be safe in that period. Good Shabbos again and Shabbat Shalom.